I must say that it's a very significant moment because the caste question has been very central to Indian politics, to the whole imagination of a welfare state, for justice in this country. But now I think it takes one step ahead. So moving from just looking at caste discrimination, trying to understand modern slavery, and then trying to look at the interlinkages. So I think it's a solid historic movement ahead, but we'll need to build a lot on it. So let's see this as a beginning, but hopefully a powerful beginning. I think it's important to acknowledge that SDG 8.7 specifically addresses modern slavery. And I think that's very, very important because before this, we have not had those attempts where modern slavery is getting attacked, tackled by government policy. The linkages are immense. I think it's important that we're looking at DWD and modern slavery together. It's SDG which gives us a very powerful framework in the form of Goal 8.7, where modern slavery is being directly addressed. And I think these linkages need to be teased out. They are going to be different at the international level, at the national level. Every community has its own uniqueness, but the primary premise that you need to now look at new forms of slavery and how they intersect with dissent and work-based discrimination is important. And once it's been made, accepted in the SDG, that becomes pretty much the policy framing for each country. And therefore, you have now a foot in the door with which you start trying to address a very long battle, but there's at least a beginning now. I think for any initiative of this kind, you cannot have one strategy. It has to be weaving together of multiple strategies. The first I would say is just going back to the basics, because a lot of countries now, including India, has fairly robust laws against both dissent-based discrimination, also against modern slavery, whether it's in the form of bonded labor, etc. There are laws. We must ensure that these laws are robustly implemented and adhered. So that's one. But then we should move ahead and also start looking at what are the new initiatives, new policies needed by the government. I think we should then push for making those demands, where we start looking at how modern slavery intersects with, say, untouchability, questions of caste. So that would be the second. And third, I think it is very, very critical that it is not an expert-led conversation which lawyers and human rights activists do with the UN and with the governments. What is important is that communities themselves understand this and build momentum, build a social movement to essentially ask for a life of dignity and ensure that the life of dignity which is their due. What I would say is that I don't think it has been evolving. It's now being recognized, so that's positive, that's important. That it is not that it was not there, it was invisible. So we are now, through these conversations, making that discrimination visible. We are bringing it to people's attention that a lot of this is modern slavery. So I think that itself is a huge step. But I think it is about doing more conversations, sensitizing people about what is modern day slavery, its interlinkages or intersection with caste, and build a people's movement. That seems like the only path at the moment where the policy spaces are shrinking for progressive politics. What you need is a strong, robust people's movement.